Hey, good morning. Welcome to the Old Geezer's Diary, episode 3, having a chat about things that I find unbelievable in our current world. I suppose I can say that. I don't know whether you can really. But one of the things that gets to me all the time, and I'm really talking about all the time, is the way that politicians treat us like Pavlov's dog. Do you remember that? It was a way of training a dog so that you appealed to its, if you like, greed, etc., and you could predict what it was going to do. And political parties tend to do that, don't they? The Tories, for instance, like Liz Truss and all the rest, tend to have the view that if they say to us, we'll give you a penny off tax, we'll all go, ooh, how exciting, a penny off tax. Whereas if a politician says, well, we might want to put a couple of extra pennies on tax to improve the health service, to deal with underpaid health workers, to make sure this happens, to make sure that happens, to make sure we actually have reasonable social care, we all go, oh no, we'll work with a penny off. And then in the future, while the penny off merchants are actually in charge, we're all going, oh, well, the National Health Service should be better. Oh, well, social care should be better. And all this stuff. And it gets, to be honest with you, gets bloody nonsensical, doesn't it? What we need to do as a country, if you like, is actually stand back and have a proper think about what we actually really want. One of the things that gets to me every time is we don't actually seem to think about what we want. All we think about is the immediate kind of benefit, like a penny off tax. And when we look around the world, we have to look at which countries are happier than ours. I don't think we're a particularly happy country. I think at the moment we're quite an unhappy country, because in absolute terms, we've got all these strikes and things going on. And in reality, we're not happy guys. But the happiest countries, it strikes me, and it strikes people who know about these things, the happiest countries we have are countries where people are looked after. Isn't that a good idea? What do we want to do? We want to have politicians and political parties who see their job as being looking after the population, the electorate, looking after us properly into the future, not worrying too much about our position on any global stage, but actually looking into the future for the people that the party, the government, is in charge of. How about that for a thought? How about that for a thought of how public elections and parties, political parties, ought to be thinking? The happiest countries in the world, it appears from the research, are actually the countries in Scandinavia. Denmark is a very happy country, despite the fact of the cost of living being quite high. They pay a lot more tax than we pay. Got to tell you, they really do. They pay more tax than we do, and they're happy. The reason they're happy is because the things that make people unhappy, like poverty, like ill health, like rubbish pensions when you're old, don't happen there. The reality is that in those countries, especially Denmark, which is the one I know the most about, if they're out of a job, they still get a living income. If they are retired, they still get a living income. If they're students, they still get a living income. And that's completely different to the UK. In the UK, if you are a pensioner, you have quite a high proportional chance of being in need of benefits. You can get benefits, but it's all very painful. You don't automatically get a wage as a pensioner on which you can live. There you go. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I think this is really quite, let's see what young Alan has to say. we tend to follow the US, which is fed by greed. That's deeply true, isn't it? But what we need to be fed by is benefit to us, the way we live and the way we enjoy our lives and the way we benefit from being citizens of this country. I just want to get people to think about this for 10 minutes. I don't know whether we'll manage to do that. Knowing the way things go, I doubt it. Most people don't want to think about that. Most people do want to think about, let's save a penny on tax, until they come to the point where they think, I need health service, I need this, I need my teeth doing. We've got hardly any dentistry on the NHS at the moment. That's a ludicrous situation, a completely ludicrous situation that we ought to have put right. So there's lots of stuff that needs doing to look after the population of the country. We don't currently have that in any real sense. You get the minimum if you're hard up, you get the minimum if you're poor, and you really get the minimum if you're hungry as well. Okay, I'm Chris. This is Felix Stowe's Old Geezer. I run a channel called The Old Geezer's Diary, and also one called The Old Geezer's Show, which is going to be developing as a kind of add-on to this. There you have it. I'll see you soon.